Hey guys, it's Kirby. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to get into one of my favorite literary tropes, which is the found family trope. A few days ago, maybe a week or so ago, I was on Facebook talking to my book group about tropes. What buzzwords make us pick up a book? What tropes do we hear and automatically want to read it? And there were several that came up several times, but one of them happened to be one of my very favorites, and that's going to be the found family trope. I think that I'm going to do maybe a series on the different tropes and where to find where they're done well, and later ask what is their least favorite trope and try to find instances where those were done well. I'm not sure. This may be a little Sunday series, but today we're going to focus on found family. And I think this one resonates with so many people because at some point in our lives, everyone has felt like they were out of place. Everyone has felt like an outcast at some point or another. And this trope can be found throughout all media, not just literary. But today I'm going to go through several instances where I feel like it was done masterfully, and I think I'm also going to include a few TV shows or movies at the end. So the found family trope is basically when someone or a group of someones have been outcast from their society. Maybe their parents have died, maybe their parents just suck, maybe they don't have siblings, or maybe their siblings have went off, they're way older than them and they're not really in their lives, or they're way younger than them and they're not really in their lives. But it all centers around our need to feel like we found a place that we belong. So whenever we're in that dark place and we don't feel like we have anybody, we feel like nobody understands, and we're just out here, me against the world. Within the found family, you have people that are not only going to have your back and they're going to be there and they're going to get it and understand, but they're also going to challenge you to be better, to look at things a different way, to be a better version of yourself. Not to change you, just to elevate what's already there. One of the books that inspired this, I just finished reading it yesterday, but it was such a good story. If you've been on BookTube or if you've been in any type of book media for the past 6 months or a year, I don't know how long this book has been out, you have probably heard of this book. It's by T.J. Klune, called The House in the Cerulean Sea. I'll try to find a picture of the cover. But this book is so touching. It's about a man who is a caseworker for magical children. So just like our DCFS goes out and does house studies and make sure kids are taken care of, that's what he does. The facility that he works for, the upper management, the extremely upper management, that's their title, and supervisors, they don't really care anything about the kids. They just want as many files as they can in and out. So he goes out, he does his report, he comes back over and over. It's very mundane, very just humdrum. And while he does care about what he does and he does think that what he does is important, I can understand that it would be very easy to get burnt out and stop caring. So he was chosen by extremely upper management to go out to this house that's way out in the middle of nowhere. It's on an island by itself. And being on the beach and on an island has kind of always been a dream of his anyway. So he goes for a month-long assignment to observe this house. And once he arrives, he realizes that the kids that are sent there are kids that no one else wanted. No one thought they could handle. They all thought that they were troubled or bad kids, and because of what they look like on paper. And once he gets there and he gets to know the kids and their house dad, I'm not sure what his title would be, Mr. Parnassus, he gets to know their overseer and them. And at first he's like, whoa, no thanks. y'all are creepy. None for me, thank you. And he starts writing reports. And but then over the course of that month, he starts seeing different sides of the children and the overseer and just different things that they go through because of who they are on paper, who everybody assumes for them to be. So these outcast kids that nobody else wanted, like not even the foster system wanted them, nobody. It's so sad. They were just cast aside, and they've come together in this place and formed a really weird little family, and they're all so precious. And even if they might supposed to be evil, they're not. And like there's an overarching theme of you are more than the sum of your parts in this book. And there is a romance, but the romance really doesn't hold any weight in the story. It's about the kids. It's about the children. And this book just hit me so hard. 5 stars, as many 5 stars as I can give. It was phenomenal. I'm sure y'all have also heard about this one, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. In this book, we're going to follow Vin, who is a street urchin. She's just been downtrodden and beaten down in every way possible. A couple hundred years ago, the chosen one, basically, and bad guy faced off, and the chosen one lost. Bad guy won. Now he rules everything. It's a very dreary, sad world to live in. But that's where we are. So there is slavery, which the ska are the slaves, and that's what Vin is. Well, she is approached by Kelsier, who is he's very charismatic. He is a leader through and through. And it becomes a heist story, kind of. So he gets together this band of other misfits. They're criminals, kind of, to pull off the biggest heist in the history of heistdom. That's how he explains it to them. So we have the aristocrat, we have the street urchin, we have the leader, we have a soldier, we have a religious scholar who's one of my favorite characters that I have ever read. Sazed is so in depth. So we have all these different people with drastically different personalities and backgrounds and current situations. They all come together to form what Vin has never had. Vin has never had anyone except for her brother, who was kind of trash to her. Vin has such great character development. At first, she's really, I don't know about y'all. I don't know why y'all have me here. I just wanted to mind my business and be over there. She finds out that she is Mistborn, which in this world, there's a magic system in place that is kind of like alchemy. I forgot what it's called. So they ingest metals, and that gives them abilities. So most people who have any abilities in this world can ingest one metal, and that will give them one ability. Those are mistlings. And then there's select few people who can use the powers or the abilities from any metal they ingest, as long as it's one of the 12, I think, metals that you can use. The people who can use any of the metals are Mistborn. Vin finds out she's Mistborn. She never knew. It's a whole thing. There's a whole history to why she never knew and how they knew that she was one of these things. That's really interesting. But anyways, we're talking about the found family. They all come together and they really have each other's back regardless. They are there. And Vin eventually comes to accept her found family. And it's such a wild ride. That one also got 5 stars from me. The whole series, I only read Era 1, which is a trilogy. And the whole trilogy as a whole, 5 stars. The conclusion of that trilogy is the best conclusion to any series that I think I have ever read. I was shocked up to the last page. I don't feel like I can mention found family without mentioning the original, to me, found family, the first one that I came across in books, and that was probably going to be the Harry Potter series. If you don't know the Harry Potter story, I don't know where you've been. Harry Potter was, his parents were killed. He was raised by his aunt and uncle, who are vicious to him. There's tons of child abuse and terrible, terrible, like, he would do something wrong. He would drop a plate and they wouldn't feed him for 2 weeks. Like, it was insane the amount of abuse that this child was put through. And then he got his letter and found out who he was and what he was. And he was sent to Hogwarts, where he met Dumbledore, Ron and Hermione, Neville, Luna. He met the whole crew, and later all of the Weasleys, and they became his family. That's Hogwarts became his home. He found somewhere to belong. And it was done wonderfully also. There's a reason that it's been as popular as it is for so long. And one of my very favorite found families, I don't have the first one, but I do have the second one. It's Court of Mist and Fury. And this is where we really find our place in the world. So in a previous video, I told you how the story opened up, how the series opens up. And in this one, this is where we find the inner circle. The inner circle is made up basically of throwaways that nobody wanted. So we have the Illyrians, which are considered a lower race of Fae. That's a fairy story. They're considered a lower race of Fae, but they are also the warriors that everyone turns to when they need somebody to fight. Look down on them if you want to, but they kick your butt. So we have two Illyrian, self-proclaimed Illyrian bastards. They didn't have dads, and their moms were not the best because they were warrior ladies. It wasn't because they were necessarily bad people. It was just, that's their culture, is that they're very hard on them coming up, so that when they do get older, you have warriors. Then we have now he is the High Lord of the Night Court, but he is a mixed race, so he is half Illyrian, half High Fae. So everybody looks down on him for that because he's mixed race. And then there's Feyre, who was human, turned Fae, turned High Fae, and everybody looks down on her because she's like the Scarlet Letter from the Spring Court. And then we have the Morrigan from the Court of Nightmares, where the court is exactly what it sounds like, the Court of Nightmares. But she left because she didn't want to be what they wanted her to be. She rejected an arranged marriage, and when they wouldn't let her reject, she did some things that they consider her to now be worthless. And they basically gutted her and left her for dead. And the only reason she is still alive is because these Illyrians found her and were disgusted at what her family was able to do to her with good conscience, and they took her in. And then there's Amryn, who is from a completely other world. She's widely feared. Nobody really knows why. They just know she is scary as crap. And nobody wants to deal with her because they're all scared of her. So we have this ragtag crew of throwaways who, when I say ride or die, I have not read, probably that I can think of, another crew of ride or die people. Like, I don't care what it is. You could be like, hey, I'm finna go blow up this whole village, and they'll be like, I'm sure they have their reasons, let's go. Like, alright, I got you. Oh, you need to kill a king? Got you, but you gonna explain it to me over supper later, right? Okay, alright, let's go. Like, they're such a good family, and they love each other. And after, there's a war in the third book, and after that third war, it really shows how much you need those people to depend on when you're dealing with trauma. You're not going to come out of a war with no trauma. Sorry, you're not. And instead of like cycling in this PTSD spiral and depression, which one character who's not technically in the inner circle does have her moments, but that's different. It really shows how much you need people to lean on when you're dealing with trauma, and how much you need to allow yourself to be helped by people that care about you when you're going through things like that. It gets a lot of hate because there's some smutty scenes and it's not serious literature, but I don't care. It was so much fun, and there is not another literary family that I would rather be part of than the inner circle. But it's also shown in TVs, movies, lots of Disney movies. I feel like one of my very favorite TV shows in the whole entire world showcases this trope very, very well. And I'm talking about Grey's Anatomy. Like, they have the whole, but you're my person. You're my person. They have that whole thing. And everybody there, either their parents were terrible, terrible parents, or in some cases the parents did not know they were parents, or their parents are not bad people, but they live very far away, so it makes them more distant. And then there's parents with mental illness that they can't really be that person for their kid who is an adult. Now, they're all doctors, but these people form this bond that is like an unbreakable, no matter what you do, I have your back bond. And it's so comforting. There's some of them that's ruined by romance. All the lust and the love, that's good because it's drama and it's entertaining. But there's a core few cast members who really resonate with the "you are my family now" trope. And I think that's what has had me hooked for so long, was watching these people who didn't know each other 2 years ago have each other's backs to the extent that they do. And two more that are completely different on the TV front. The first one is a children's story about a boy who watched his dad get killed for political reasons, and he thought that he thought it was his fault, so he got cast away, and he found two people on his out there journey that saved his life and nursed him back to health and raised him. That's right, I'm talking about The Lion King. Hakuna Matata. Yes, Timon and Pumbaa and Simba were some of the most wholesome found family that exist, period. Prove me wrong. Give me another one more wholesome. I'll wait. This trope extends to all age ranges. Speaking of age ranges, there's another one that's on the complete opposite scale, with some ladies who have lived their lives and they've been married, they've been divorced, their spouse may have passed away, their children are raised and moved on, and they just want to live out the golden years of their life happy. So they end up coming together because nobody can afford rent in Miami by themselves. So they share a room, or they share rooms in a house with each other and become sisters. I'm talking about the Golden Girls. This show is hilarious, and when they do have serious moments, it'll make you cry. Like, these older ladies didn't meet each other until they were all over 60, I think. But once they did, they might get on each other's nerves, they might backbite, they might be smart aleck and talk about each other to their face. Never ever behind their back, but to their face. But if somebody else comes and says something to them, oh, you better not. You better not. Because they will get you. And that's kind of part of what found family is. just like with real siblings, I can talk about you, but they better not talk about you. And it's so funny to watch ladies, and it's so real. I feel like it's realistic in a dream world that this could happen, and I love to watch it. That's several examples that I felt like did a really good job with the found family trope. It's one of my very favorites. I think next time I do an entry to the series, it's probably going to be enemies to lovers. I think that got the next highest up on how many times it was mentioned in that conversation. So those are my recommendations for the found family trope. If you liked what you saw and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Drop me a like, drop me a comment, and let me know if you have any recommendations that feature this trope. I would love to find more books or movies or TV shows that feature this as a heavy theme. I'm going to try to start posting at least 2 days a week. I'm thinking Sundays and Thursdays, probably. Until then, I'll see y'all soon with a new video. Bye.